Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. That's a weak response. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. That's more like alhamdulillah. Makes me feel like I'm at home. Alhamdulillah. First of all, to be fair, I thought the time was you guys are Central Time. I'm messing around. Just took us much longer than expected to get here. We should blame the people that brought me, because I don't know New York. I don't know how long it takes and how far everything is, but it took much longer than expected. Forgive me for being late. May Allah bless you all, reward you all. It's a blessing to be with you all today. Inshallah, bless the hosts at Mass Queens, and Allah increase the great work that you all are doing. Mashallah, you have so many events upcoming in the next few weeks. May Allah increase them, and inshallah allow all of us to benefit from them in the best of manners, inshallah ta'ala. So I think I'll start the session. I know it's almost Maghrib time. We'll go till Maghrib, and inshallah we'll keep the floor open for questions after Maghrib, if that's okay. Is that cool, everyone? Inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد النبي العالمين أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وقال تعالى في مقام آخر قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا هو خير مما يجمعون وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين وكما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Dear friends, the title that we were given, From Sacrifice to Sincerity, the idea that how a person makes an effort to do a deed and then that allows him to remain sincere, which hopefully gives him the reward of the deed. And I'll start with simply the title, that in order for a person to even have to challenge their intention, they first have to make a sacrifice. When we speak about the prophets and we speak about the Sahaba, we don't first speak about their intention. We first speak about their sacrifice. Because when a person is ready to sacrifice for something, understanding that their intention is clear is a given. Why else would someone like Ibrahim alayhi salam leave his family in the middle of a desert? Well, there is no secondary option. The only option is that it was done for Allah. Why else would the Prophet ﷺ leave the city that his grandfather built in Makkah al-Mukarramah, where he was given the title and the crown of a Sadiqul Ameen, the most truthful, the most honest, and the most trustworthy, and go to a city that was known as Yathrib, which means sickness? Well, there's no other reason why someone would make such a sacrifice other than the fact that it was being done for the sake of Allah. Why else would a person like the Sahaba that came with the Prophet, Abu Bakr and Umar, leave their entire home and all of that which they knew to be home, to go to a foreign land and to be treated like a refugee? Well, there was no other reason why someone would do that except for the sake of Allah. Now, dear friends, when a person commits themselves to something, a purpose of their life, a cause, a passion, rarely do they have to reflect upon their intention because of how committed they are to the task at hand. This was the norm for the Sahaba. This was the norm for the Prophet. Yes, we recheck our intention, we sit back and we reflect upon ourselves and why we're doing it and whether or not we have the purest of intentions, but truthfully, questioning your intention can only be a question for those who have already made a commitment to a way of life that they want to live. They have a passion and a clear reason on why they live life the way that they live life. Asking someone whether or not their intention is pure when movement is a scarcity for them is also something which is unnecessary. What is your intention? Is your intention pure? Yes, for in the eyes of Allah, the smallest of deeds can have the greatest of impacts if they are sincere. But that is saying, when a person makes an effort to commit themselves to committing good deeds, and then even in that pathway, or in that process, only a small deed is accepted, that's enough for them. Allah doesn't need much to accept us. Allah doesn't need many tahajjud nights or dua or umrahs. Allah needs one good deed that can be used as an excuse for our salvation and liberation in the akhirah. But we understand from the people that came before us, like those in our time today as well, outside of the spectrum of Muslims and deen, no one really asks a person who is committed to building a business what his intention is. His intention is clear. He's there to make money. No one really has to ask someone who is getting married, for example. Like, have you ever heard someone ask, like, yo, what's your intention of getting married for? Like, bro, why do we get married? We have a family. That's why we get married. Like, oh, but what's your real intention? Like, there's no secret to the sauce. You get married because you get married, you have families, and Allah blesses you with beautiful, healthy children, inshallah. They're also good, amazing Muslims that carry on the flag of the Prophet ﷺ. There's no like, what's your intention? My point is the same. Youngsters like ourselves, and all of you that are sitting here, including myself, the commitment to deen is the first intention that we have to make. The sacrifice for this deen is the first purpose of our life. It's what allows life to be worth not living only for dunya but for the akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةِ وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا. We speak about, at times when we speak about intention, we get so caught up in the micro that we forget about the macro. We get caught up in what the intention is to drink water and what the intention is to leave our home in the morning, but we forget to think about what is our intention and purpose of living life. People speak about the concept of mentality and mindset. What is the mindset of a believer? Mindset is not simply what allows you to feel superior. A mindset is what allows you to get through the most difficult moments of your life. And what allows you to remain grounded in the moments of triumph in your life. What's the mindset? وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةِ. Allah doesn't speak about what intention we make when we do acts of goodness. He says, what is the intention of our life? أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةِ. The mindset of a believer is that we are akhirah-centric. When people become akhirah-centric, and that is their macro vision and goal, everything else falls under that vision. You know when someone is focused on making money, that every move they have in their life is to make money. So if their bigger goal is to make money, every small thing that they do, even though it may be something that looks like it's service-based, you know that this guy's trying to make a buck out of this. Because that's the purpose of life. Similarly, when a person makes this determined decision, regardless of how old or young we are, that my purpose of life is to be able to enjoy the first meeting that I have in the akhirah with Allah. My purpose, arad al-akhirah, that I become. You cannot have multiple frames of reference as a human being. They start contradicting and conflicting with each other. Your dominant frame of reference always has to be one. One. And when a person has that, they're able to live life consistent. I'm not saying they live life perfect, but they live life consistently. Person's purpose is education. They'll continue living life through this worldview of theirs. Person lives for money. They live through this consistently. A person lives for Allah. Arad al-akhirah. When people ask him, why do you do what you do? It's like, bro, you've seen my purpose. It's to serve Allah in this world. It's to continue living as strong Muslims in America and New York. If my purpose is clear as a macro, all the smaller things also become clear. And the intention behind it doesn't become as heavy of a question as can I continue making this commitment. They came and asked Ibn Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi, how do I know that I'm sincere? How do I know that I'm sincere? I mean, of course, everything matters, but how do I really know that my deeds are being accepted and I'm sincere in my deeds? He said, well, it's very simple. That Allah allows you to do that same deed again and again. The trickle effect of the deed is a sign of your sincerity and acceptance. And being deprived of being allowed to continue doing that deed again and again is a sign that Allah deprived you because you're not accepted. And because it wasn't sincere. We don't run away from doing good because we hide behind the veneer of not knowing whether or not we are sincere. We continue making the effort and Allah makes us sincere. Allah doesn't say those who are وَالَّذِينَ أَخْلَصُوا, whoever are sincere, then I will guide them. No. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا, whosoever makes an effort. Shaitan can come to us in multiple ways. Sometimes he can come to a person like someone that's been volunteering a lot, like some of you, mashallah, for months or years or for different events. They come to us and say, you know what, maybe I should stop volunteering. I don't know if I'm sincere or not. That's what Shaitan. Doing something for someone else is a lack of sincerity. Stopping something because of someone else is also a lack of sincerity. If someone walks in, you were doing an act of goodness, you continue doing it. You don't stop because now they're there. You continue. Because we're indifferent to people watching us or not. Sincerity is not that we do things behind closed doors. Sincerity is the way we do the good deed behind closed doors and in front of people is the same. When they asked the great scholar Hassan al-Basri, what is sincerity? Like, how do you know a person is sincere? He said, well, it's very simple. If this person's output of good is the same outside and the same inside, then indeed they are sincere. Outside as well. Some of us can find sincerity in the corner of our house while we're praying. But can we be sincere in the middle of a classroom when it's time for Maghrib? That's sincerity. We're sincere to the cause. We don't care who's around us. We're not insecure. Value added through deen is the greatest value added. People who look for other people's admiration is simply because they haven't realized what they themselves have. We don't see Sahaba looking for the compliments of non-Muslims in their time. If they were looking for compliments of non-Muslims, they would have to dip and dive to the point that they would have assimilated without a sense of identity. They would have simply became another person living at that time, and we would not know their names today and want to follow them today. Sincerity is being allowed to continue doing the deed. So if shaitan comes to me sometimes, he'll come to people like us and say, well, maybe you should stop because I don't know if you're sincere or not. You know what? The way to know I'm sincere is to continue doing it. Is to continue serving, continue sacrificing, continue grinding, like how the people of dunya do for their dunya. We don't see the Sahaba who made such great sacrifices like the Muhajirun come time of Badr say, you know what, I'm not sure if I've been sincere, maybe I don't go for Badr. No, I gotta go. That question of sincerity is not paralyzing. It makes you reflect, it doesn't hold you back. The question of whether or not I should become more sincere, it doesn't handicap a person's growth in their deen. It accelerates it because it makes it more pure. And I understand that the water is full and there's one drop of urine, it becomes impure, but the cup still has to be full in order for it to become impure. We still have to make an effort. And I'm reflecting upon this in this manner because sometimes the idea of sincerity somehow to us means quality over quantity. Let me just become more sincere. Let me do it with more ikhlas. No. The Sahaba never had that battle of quality over quantity. Everything that they did was with quality. They never slowed down. Like, you know how sometimes we can ask ourselves, like, should I read more Quran daily? Should I read less but with more quality? This was never a question for them. Because whatever they did, it was done with good quality. But there was never an idea that let me become more sincere. Till I become more sincere, I'll do less. Shaitan to other people has different ways of attacking them. He attacks them by saying, if you continue doing this, you'll become arrogant. Other people, he attacks them by saying, there's no point of you doing any good because you messed up so bad, you might as well call it a day and leave. So he uses different ways to pull people differently. But sincerity, Ibn Qayyim says, the greatest sign of sincerity is that Allah allows this person to continue doing a good deed. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he has a beautiful narration where he talks about the impact and effect of good deeds. How good deeds have instantaneous effects and impacts in our life. Instantaneous effects in our life. Sometimes people think that when you do good, you will only see the impact of it in the akhirah, which is obviously true. You will see the impact of it in the akhirah, but that doesn't mean that you won't see it and feel it in the dunya. You will see it here as well. He says there are 5 unique benefits of doing good deeds that you notice right away in your life. Number 1, إِنَّ الْحَسَنَةِ ضِيَاءً فِي الْوَجْهِ. That a person who does good will feel a level of radiance within themselves. And you will sense a level of radiance from them. Diya means light on their face. Light on their body. There are people who not only have light externally, but you can feel a sense of comfort when you sit and interact with them. Which is synonymous to how people feel around, like the Sahaba, like how they felt around the Prophet ﷺ, and how we feel around people who are righteous. Diya'an fil wajh. And the opposite is true when you spend time with people and in places that are void of the dhikr of Allah or that are filled with sins, you feel uneasy. Until then your body just adjusts and adapts to it as if it is normal. Right? When people first start like drinking like soda or coffee, it has an effect. But like 10 years later, the tolerance level grows and now that same coffee has no effect. It's not that the coffee is not as strong. It's that my tolerance level to that caffeine has simply grown. It's not that backbiting is not haram or speaking about other groups and people is not impermissible or sitting at night at that this time in such an area is not something which is meritorious, or speaking about my parents with a tone of just uneasiness, or reflecting upon them in a manner that they would not be pleased with, doesn't mean that it's not a sin. It's my tolerance level of what is a sin has increased so much that it doesn't seem like it's a sin. But in good places, you feel the opposite effect. This is why the Prophet says, "Al-mu'minu mir'atul mu'min," that a believer is a mirror of a believer, because you're able to identify your flaws by looking at his good. Not you're able to identify the good within yourself by seeing their flaws. Right? So, diya'an fil wajh. Allah places a radiance on your face. Right? Number one. Number two, وَنُورًا فِي الْقَلْبِ. Allah puts a light in people's hearts by doing good deeds. Sacrifice to sincerity literally means that the more sacrifice we make, the more sincere Allah makes us. We're not sincere simply because we're here, but it's the first step to become sincere. The first step to sincerity is to make a sacrifice. The first step to sincerity of prayer is to pray more. The first step of sincerity of giving charity is to be more charitable. First, we just have to increase the output because of where we are. The balance isn't there yet. And naturally, if that becomes our purpose of life, no one even needs to ask us what our intention is. They already know that the only reason why I'm doing this is because it benefits my akhirah. It fits within my worldview of life. Number two, nuran fil qalb. Allah puts light in a person's heart. This nur is something which allows a person to differentiate good and bad. I'll give you a simple example. If you were to walk inside your room or your house when the lights are all switched off and it's dark, like dark, and it's your own house, your room, it's a known space, but because of the absence of light, what happens? The simplest, most trivial, mundane movements become quite overwhelming and challenging. You start moving, you start like walking on stuff. You hit your toe like that. God, get my toe. You hit your funny bone somewhere. God, man, like same spot every single time. It happens to me all the time. Right? Like I knew it was there, like the edge of the wall, or like the leg of a sofa or a chair. Like it's dark. Though you know the space, it becomes difficult to maneuver within because there's no physical light. It's hard. Imagine attempting to maneuver through the dunya, right, with all of its challenges that come forth within it, without the light of the heart, which is not a familiar place for us. It's a place that Allah Himself calls us gharib. We're strangers to this place. We're not meant to be here. It's like a person who lands in their their layover city and starts living there as if they're going to stay there. It's a layover. Abiru sabil. We're here for a little bit of time, but then we move on to the next stage of our life. So this person who has no light, nur of the heart, it's like a person who's stripped of physical light trying to move through their room. The same way, if we're trying to move through life without Allah, the Quran, and a very consistent output of good deeds. Consistent. Umar radiallahu anhu would say, حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. He would say, hey man, reflect upon your day before the day comes that your day is reflected upon by Allah. And the more you do, the more potential deeds that you have that will be sincere. Naturally, because you've done more. You have more options, you will have more good deeds of sincerity that Allah will choose from. Sufyan al-Thawri, rahmatullah alayh, he was a great scholar. He passed away at an elderly age, and when he passed away, his son sees him in a dream and he says to him, "Oh father, how was that relationship with Allah? How was that first interaction with Allah like? I'm sure he took care of you and honored you because you're a great scholar. He was a great muhaddith." He said, "Oh son, it was very near that I was going to be destroyed because of my knowledge. Because of my knowledge." He says, "Father, what saved you?" No. Right after though, for sure. He brought me coffee. I said, "I'm not drinking now, but don't give it to anyone else." My tolerance level was pretty high now. But nonetheless, he says, "So what saved you, Father?" He said, "One deed. One dua that I used to make consistently is what actually became the cause of me being freed by Allah. Or else I would have been in trouble." So what was the dua that you used to make? He said, "Ya Rabb malakut as-samawati wal-ard. Ya Rabb malakut as-samawati wal-ard. O owner of the heavens and the earth. Hab li kulla shay. Wa la tas'alni an shay. Gift me everything." Hiba in Arabic means gift. Hab li kulla shay. gift me everything, وَلَا تَسْأَلْنِي عَنْ شَيْءٍ, but don't ask me about anything. Like, that was his dua. Wasn't that a pretty cool dua? Like, hook it up and don't ask me about anything in return. This is the dua that I used to make because I understood who Allah was. Allah says, you understood who I am, because of that I forgive you. Allah doesn't need much to forgive us or to accept us, but the output of good deeds gives us a stronger chance of at least one of these being accepted. Like a man came to Fulayl ibn Iyad, who was a great tabi'i, a great scholar of the past. He said to him, "Oh Fulayl, isn't it such that if Allah accepts one sajda, it's better for us than the entirety of this world and whatever it contains?" Correct? He said, "Yeah, of course. That means you have Jannah?" He said, "Yeah, 100%. So why do you pray so much then? Then why do you pray so much?" He said, "Well, I'm simply searching for that one sajda. I gotta keep praying to find that one sajda. I have to keep trying. I have to keep sacrificing. The key word is juhud. I have to keep sacrificing until I find that one sajda that Allah accepts." There is no growth without sacrifice. Stagnancy is a cause of regression. Being comfortable in your deen should not be synonymous to being complacent in your deen. Being comfortable is very important so that you know that you belong. But being complacent is simply synonymous to being lazy. We all need to make more sacrifice for this deen. We see our brothers and sisters in Gaza have no choice but to make a sacrifice. What sacrifice am I making? Yes, I can stand in the streets for a protest, which is commendable. I can stand in Senate room hearings, which is also virtuous. But sometimes all you need is a quiet voice in the middle of the night that is asking Allah, and Allah gives them. Like Bilal radiallahu anhu was a slave in Mecca. Bilal was a slave in Mecca. Insignificant within the grand scheme of the hierarchy in Mecca. He is being persecuted in the burning hot soil of Mecca. He has no microphone. He has no crowd, no audience, no presence. But then why is it so that his ahd, that was repeated ever so slightly and quietly, was able to have such an impact on the entirety of the city? Ahad. No, the person next to him could hardly hear it. They would have to come near him, lean in to see what he was saying. Have to lean in. So, ahad. How does ahad have such a big impact when the person's voice is hardly being heard? Being loud is not synonymous to being heard. And being silent is not synonymous to being weak. Right? Allah, just ahad was enough. Just ahad is enough. So when nurun fil qalb, going back to the point of this brings light in our heart. And this light allows us to continue serving Allah. You know what happens if you sit in your dark room for long enough? I have 10 minutes left. To Muhammad? 12. 3 times 4. Same thing. Just, you're saying. I appreciate it. Thank you, Habibi. Wallah, I was still going to go for 5, but I appreciate you letting me. But he says, what happens if you're in a dark room and you stay there for long enough? What happens? Can you see after a little while? Your eyes adjust. Your eyes adjust. The dark room is still dark. The dark room is still dark. You know who's going to tell you that? The next person who walks in. But your eyes adjust. You're like chilling there, alhamdulillah, I can see everything. Everything is cool because you've been sitting in the dark for so long. This is what happens to you and I when people say, "Hey man, why am I, not forget you, why am I not doing more for this deen? Why am I not adding more value to my life through the source that is ultimately the greatest source of value? Where's my extra recitation of the Quran? Where's my extra sacrifice? That extra bit. Inna Allah yuhibbul ta'ib fi ibadatihi. The hadith of the Prophet, he says, Allah loves exhaustion in His people when they serve Allah. That level of like when you're tired and you've been praying and you've been making dua, like you're so tired. People do this all the time for frivolous activities like watching sports and watching stuff online. Like the only times is your phone fell on your face and you want scrolling on Miftah stuff from mass screens, right? It wouldn't have fell on your face, it would have fell on your heart. It would have been different, right? Like what? That idea. The same is the case for a person who is void of spiritual light. that now we start thinking, why do I need to pray, or why do I need to do this if I can see everything? Life is good. Parents are good. Everything is moving the way that better than what I would have thought. It's like that person in the dark room who thinks that they can actually see because there's light. It's their eyes adjusting. It's not that there's light. The heart adjusts to the darkness of our darkness of our surroundings. Nuran fil qalb. Allah gives nur to those who do good deeds. Yes, of course it needs to be sincere. But you can only make it sincere if you actually commit to it. Number 3, وَقُوَّةً فِي الْبَدَنِ. I have 3 minutes left. I'm going to say the last 3 quickly. وَقُوَّةً فِي الْبَدَنِ. Allah gives strength within our bodies. What does that mean? Does that mean that we have strength? No, it means how Ibn Hajar rahmatullah alayhi explains it, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives tawfiqan al-amal as-salih. He gives us the opportunity to do more good deeds. This is where the whole idea comes from, that the sign that Allah has accepted a deed and allowed us to be sincere is that He allows us to do the deed again and again. He gives us the ability to continue doing the deed. Where Ibn Hajar says that the greatest sign of a deed being accepted, so if I prayed Fajr in the morning, then Allah allows me to pray Dhuhr. That is a qualifying sign. Not the only, obviously, that my Fajr was accepted. Then I prayed Dhuhr, then I prayed Asr. It's a sign that my Dhuhr, and so on and so forth. Quwwatan, you know what Quwwatan fil badan means? Like strength internally. It's to be able to lift your blanket for Fajr. That takes strength. Takes strength. Quwwah. But I can bench 150. That's a different type of strength. I can't raise my... You know what strength is? Quwwatan fil badan? Is when our parents say something that we don't like, but we hold our tongue back. Hold it. Yo, maybe I'm not sincere. I should still say what I want. No, that is sincerity, to hold back. But I'm not doing it for Allah. It's okay. When it comes to good deeds, remember this. When it comes to ibadah, being sincere is what allows your deed to be accepted. When it comes to serving people, even if you do it for your parents and not for Allah, it'll still be accepted. Even if you do it for them, and you don't have Allah, of course it will be accepted. Because the purpose is to serve them. Serving them is serving Allah. But I don't have the right intention to stop doing haram. I'm doing it because of my potential wife or husband. It's okay, it's a good reason. That is sincerity. That they are a cause of something good in your life. Quwwatan fil badan is to be able to hold back, resist. Resist. Number 4, he says, وَبَرَكَةً فِي الرِّزْقِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places barakah in all of our blessings. How many of us feel that time is less? I was just 10 minutes late, so prime example of it, right? Time is less. Money seems tight. Every blessing in my life feels tight. It's not that it's less. Barakatan fi rizq. Allah puts barakah in every blessing in our life. Barakah does not mean ziyada. Barakah means if I had $2,000 and I had one responsibility, now I have 2 responsibilities. The money is the same, but the potential of its impact increased. That's called barakah. Barakah does not mean that blessing increased. Barakah means that the potential of the impact has increased. 24 hours will be 24 hours, not going to change. Doesn't matter if you're a pious person, it's still the same amount of time. But the potential of what you can do with that time grows beyond your lifetime, like the scholars before us. قُوَّةً وَبَرَكَةً فِي الرِّزْقِ وَمَحَبَّةً فِي قُلُوبِ النَّاسِ. And Allah places our love in the hearts of people. To become beloved to the people of Allah, the prerequisite is to become beloved to Allah. And to become beloved to Allah does not have a complicated formula. Jahadu, just struggle, just sacrifice. I know people who, now we have people teach Quran in Braille. There are people, like elders, that they're old now, who can't see. Like some of our own elders in our families and our uncles. What they do is just put their finger on top of the Quran and they go over the ayah. Just jahadu, just making an effort. Allah's system is the only system in this world that rewards one not upon the results, but upon the effort. Every other system will only reward you if you are able to bring results forth. We're a result-centric society, right? If you don't have results, You can't go to your boss and say, I tried really, really hard, but I didn't get the task done. They're going to say, we tried really, really hard, but our budget cuts have come. This is what it is. Like trying hard is relative for them, right? But for Allah, jahadu. You tried hard, Allah said, that's all I need. فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. Their efforts will be appreciated. So, from sacrifice to sincerity is a perfect title, because it allows us to understand that we first have to make the effort before even thinking about the sincerity aspect of it. Just keep making the effort. Keep committing yourself to the grind of serving Allah's deen. Keep committing yourself to growing in your prayer, your sadaqah, your volunteering, your service, your goodness to your elders, your kindness of your tongue, your softness of your tone with people. All of this, the more you work on this, naturally a person just becomes more sincere. Because they would stop if they weren't sincere. Istiqamah is something that people ask, how do you get istiqamah? Istiqamah is an extension of a person who is sincere. Because you keep moving. You don't stop praying. Even though Allah took something from you, you still pray. Allah gave you something, you still pray. So the greatest way to continue earning sincerity is not necessarily to make it a source of slowing you down, but rather to keep growing in that amal, to keep serving in it. Hatta to the point that you have no choice but to remain sincere, because there's no other reason why you would make that commitment in life. Just like how Ibrahim a.s. would have no other reason to make a commitment to leave his family in Mecca, we have no other reason in America to dress the way we dress, speak the way we speak, to live the way we live. No other reason except because that we love Allah and we're looking forward to the akhirah. May Allah make us amongst those people. I will stay here after Salat inshallah as well. And if anyone has any questions or gives me more time to continue, I'll continue after Maghrib inshallah. Jazakallah khair everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So inshallah this part is more so, is that even right? Assalamu alaikum. This part is more so if anyone has any questions, and inshallah I can spend a few minutes in whatever time we need to go through them. Go ahead, Habibi. Hand up right there.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
So
at the end you mentioned how Allah judges based on our intentions, and you can be sincere even if the action doesn't show. But sometimes I feel like if I was sincere enough, then it would have shown in my action, and then I feel bad about it.
I said what? That your Allah judges based on intent?
Like the analogy you made with if you tell your boss, I tried so hard, and then your boss is still gonna fire you if you didn't show the result. But with Allah, if you tried really hard and you were really, really sincere, even if it doesn't show, Allah knows you were sincere. But then I still feel like
why did it not show?
Yeah.
No, so it's a good question. The brother asked a very good question, right? So my inner Zakinaik. But he asked, look, ultimately, if you tried really hard, worked really hard, and were sincere in your intention, then would it not show anyways? Would it not have the effect that one was hoping for? And the answer is, it's no. At times it won't, because maybe the effect that I had in my mind was different than what Allah sees to be acceptance for me. The Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba are the most sincere people. They made the greatest effort. They came to Mecca to perform Umrah in year 7 after Hijrah, right? So this is known as the year of Hudaybiyah. And they came and they were sent back. Their goal was to get inside of Mecca, but once they were stopped outside of Mecca in the area known as Hudaybiyah, and they signed the treaty that they'll come back next year and perform Umrah for only 3 days, and it was a losing, it seemed in every way that it was a losing end of the stick. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them the reward of performing the Umrah, though they never performed the Umrah, because their effort was there. So at times, maybe my effort doesn't yield the benefits that I had in mind. Maybe it doesn't have the same exact outcome that I was hoping for. And for us, a lot of us youngsters, we're known to be we try to be very precise. We try to control every part of our day. We're very detail oriented. So if something doesn't end up being what we thought it was going to be, we think it's a failure. It's not true. Something not being what we thought it was going to be is a sign that we were never in control anyways, right? So ultimately, all the person can do is make sure that their effort is consolidated, right? This is one of the qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a person who has the right intention, the right macro intention, as I was trying to refer to earlier as well. Not just the micro intention, but the macro intention. Because if you don't have the right macro intention, even if you're praying next to the Prophet, you'll be called the munafiq. right? Because your purpose is not clear. Your purpose is confusing. Like, you want to be with them, but you also want to be with them. You want to be be able to be identifiable, but you also want to assimilate to the point that no one notices you. It doesn't work, right? You gotta pick one, right? We can't walk the journey to akhirah with a leg on both sides of the street. You gotta pick. That's why ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Allah, guide me to the path of as-sirat al-mustaqim. Ihdina means give me thabat upon it, keep me upon it. Right? So there's a hadith where the Prophet talks about people's effort being efficient and useful and effective versus it being ineffective. And he says, Man asbaha minkum. Whosoever wakes up in the morning, which all of us do, and Allah allow us to live long, healthy lives, and all our parents and our loved ones. So wakes up in the morning, وَالدُّنْيَا أَكْبَرُ هَمِّهِ. It's pretty cool. You know, there's about 70 to 80 narrations that talk about how you wake up in the morning. You know, people that, like motivational speakers and people that write about this stuff, they always talk about how you start your day. Like, أَصْبَحَ مِنْكُمْ. Wake up in the morning, take your feet off your bed. Some of the most normal stuff. Like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Like, you wash your face 3 times with a cold towel. Like, it's like putting lemon in water and making it seem like it's really special. Like, the same thing. It's the same thing, man. Don't make it seem like it's special. It's the same thing, just threw some lemon on top, right? So they do all these interesting things, but one of the things that they do talk about is how the morning defines how your day will go, which is accurate in every aspect. The Prophet says, Man asbaha minkum. There's about 70 to 80 different narrations that talk about how you start your morning, which also teaches us the importance of beginning the morning in the right manner, i.e. the manner that benefits our dunya and our akhirah. He whosoever wakes up in the morning, وَالدُّنْيَا أَكْبَرُ هَمِّهِ. And an aspect of the dunya is their biggest concern. Biggest concern, not a concern. Biggest concern. Like, some of us may wake up in the morning and the first thing that we want to do is look at our grades. Some of us wake up in the morning and the first thing we want to do is check, if you're into stocks or something like that, is check the stock market, right? Like, we say, like, you can tell how well the stock market is doing based upon how you see people for Fajr. You can just tell because you already know they checked. Right? The people are I know youngsters. I found out about this recently because I didn't know this was a thing. That people wake up early at times if sneakers are coming out. Sneakers, shoes. You got feet. Thank Allah for that in the morning. Like, people wake up at unique different times just so they can bid for shoes, like collectibles, I guess. Right? That's it. They wake up for it because it's a concern for them. Right? So the Prophet says, Man asbaha minkum, whosoever starts their day and they wake up in the morning, in dunya is their biggest concern. It not being a concern is also incorrect. It has to be a concern. Family, you have kids, you have a career, you have education, you have safety, you have security. All that is a concern. But it's the biggest concern, the dominating. The Prophet says this person gets challenged by 3 things. Number 1, جَعَلَ الْفَقْرَ بَيْنَ عَيْنِهِ. Allah stamps this person in between their forehead with the stamp of poverty. That this person will never be content. جَعَلَ الْفَقْرَ بَيْنَ عَيْنِهِ. That Allah stamps poverty here. The person is searching for it there, but Allah has already stamped this person will never be content. Be content is the ultimate prize, not having something. People that believe that when I reach the penthouse suite, it will fill the gap and the void in my heart, and when they get there, they say, what's next? Right? Because we believe that the space that you fill does not overwhelm, does not help in the state that you have. Right? The state and the space are not synonymous. A person that pursues a space, i.e. a certain caliber or a certain rank in dunya, that does not replace the state of their heart. The state can overwhelm the space. There are people who don't have much, like our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and the space that they have is pretty much rubbles, right? But the state of their heart is filled with contentment. And then we have us, that we have the space, we have our parents with us, we have everything we need, but the state of the heart is filled with a level of anxiousness, anxiety, uneasiness, unrest, lack of gratitude, level of entitlement. Entitlement is the cancer of gratitude. No person can ever be entitled and be grateful in life. Remember that, it's impossible. If you're entitled, you cannot be grateful. If you're grateful, that means you're not entitled. Because entitled people are the best at finding issues in a room where there's no issues. Because they're just entitled. Like, you were supposed to pick me up anyways, why were you late for? Brother, I wasn't supposed to pick you up. You could have taken an Uber. You're not entitled for me to pick you up from the airport. I picked you up, you should be grateful. right? That number one, يَجْعَلُ الْفَقْرَ بَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ. Allah places poverty between their eyes, i.e., they never feel that they have enough, which is a trick of shaitan as well. Number two, he says, وَشَتَّتَ عَلَيْهِ شَمْلُ. Allah, this is where the question came from. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala separates this person's affair. So He breaks up everything in their day. So if everything was supposed to be consolidated, because the idea was to make the right effort for the same thing. So if I'm going to work, I'm going to work with the intention that it helps me, my family. Great, I get reward for it. If I'm going to school, I'm going to school with the idea that Allah rewards me for education. I'm getting reward for it. If I'm volunteering, I'm getting reward for it. Hatta if I'm serving my parents, I'm getting reward for it. Like, we're so blessed that there's no act in our life that is frivolous. Everything can be a cause of reward. Similarly, everything can be a cause of sin as well. I can be praying and getting sin. My intention is insincere, right? So, شَتَّتْ عَلَيْهِ شَمْلُ means Allah breaks apart all of their affairs. So I give the example, like, if you have a cat and you put food for your cat in a bowl, right? Put food in the cat's bowl, and it's filled up to the top. The cat eats it, the food is consolidated. But then imagine that same amount of food, you go ahead and you kind of like spill it all over the room. So it's not in one spot, it's kind of what? Like spread out. Same amount of food, same amount of consumption. An extreme level of effort for that same level of consumption. Shatta. Allah breaks it apart. When a person has a mindset when they wake up in the morning that their biggest goal is, am I late for Fajr yet? Did I miss my Fajr? That's their biggest thing. Right? And if I missed, it's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but it's okay. I'm going to go make wudu, and the first thing I'm going to do is pray. Because the Prophet taught us, if you missed your salat, just wake up and pray right away. Not like, I already missed anyway, so let me just like go back to Allah for a moment. Right? No. Go back to Allah for a moment. You might go back, not come back. Right? Yeah, wake up, pray right away. This is why the Muslim taught us a hadith, that because we will miss at times. We're not angels, we're not perfect. Right? Similarly, what Allah does to a person is that Allah, what He's going to give us is already set and decreed. But when our mindset, when we wake up in the morning, is dominated by an aspect of dunya, it seems as if everything is broken apart. Nothing is working. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is fixed. You know, sometimes our days are like that. Nothing's going right. Sometimes sit back and say, okay, what am I really searching for now? What is actually driving me right now? Why am I becoming anxious about something that's not in my control? شَتَّتْ عَلَيْهِ شَمْلُ. Allah breaks apart all of our affairs. Now, getting this much takes this much time. It's not because I'm getting more, it's just that I'm struggling to get the same amount. You know, my father would say, not all movement is considered to be progress. Sometimes you're moving, but you're not progressing. You're just what? Running in circles. You think you're moving so fast. I'm moving so fast through college. I'm moving so fast through my career. I'm making it up the ranks. And you sit back and say, I moved so fast in one aspect of my life, but every other aspect is exactly where it was, if not that it has regressed. It's not virtue when you replace one act of goodness with another act. It's called substitution. It's called compromise. Virtue is when you're able to do what you're doing and add to it. You add to it. It's not virtue when you pray Fajr in the masjid and then you stop because you volunteer somewhere. That's not virtue. That's called substitution. How can I pray and volunteer? Those Sahaba who used to pray Fajr in the masjid with the Prophet every day. In the masjid, at home, of course, he was praying. So one day went by, second day went by, third day went by, the Prophet didn't see him, so he goes ahead, and after the third day decides to go to that person's house. Now imagine if your Imam showed up to your door after 3 days of not seeing you. Like, bro, if he saw you 3 days in a row, he would be concerned. What's going on, brother? Everything okay at home? You alright? You're good? Imagine if that's the case. Like, 3 days in a row, I'm seeing you Fajr. Is everything good, brother? Right? So he doesn't see him for 3 days in a row. So he goes to his house, straight up, just like people say visiting Muslims is like a bid'ah. No, we went to a Muslim's house. He knocked on the door, his mother opened the door. The Prophet said, mother, Khala, where's your son? My son just went to sleep. He's like, I haven't seen him in the masjid Fajr for the past few days. By the way, Prophet went with the intention that maybe he's sick. You know how we don't see someone for a few days? Maybe they're busy. No, why don't you text them? Maybe they need something. Like, why am I reaching a conclusion just to, pacify my lack of empathy? Right? Oh, I'm sure they're good. They're good. Why don't you text them? That's the best way to pacify my lack of empathy and care. Just to give it a veneer, that's all good. There's probably something happening. No, the Prophet went and checked up on him. There are people in our communities who are sick for days, if not weeks, and no one even knows that they were sick because their presence is never felt, so their absence is not noticed. Right? When someone's presence isn't considered to be valuable, their absence is not something which is which creates any gap within the circles that we are in. So he knocks and he asks, "Where's your son?" She says, "Oh Prophet of Allah, my son has been killing it. He's been praying tahajjud every single night. Okay? And because he's been praying tahajjud every single night, he prays Fajr at home and then he goes to sleep." The Prophet says, "Tell him that it's better for him to pray no tahajjud and come pray Fajr in the masjid." Because substitution is not virtuous. Right? Especially at our age. Right? Like, we should be able to add. This is what tawfiq means. You add, you don't subtract something else. You continue adding. It's like, if you're an athlete and you play basketball, you play like some other sport like soccer or whatever, and you have a certain way, you have a move that you have. But you have to add something new. You can't lose what you already had. Because if you lose what you had, this actually brings you back to where you were. 2 steps up, 1 step forward, and 2 steps backwards, right? So the Prophet says that this person's day becomes so separated and it becomes so, kind of like destabilized that they always think that there's something missing in their life. The last part is that Allah will only give you that which is already decreed for you anyways. So the movement is not always progress. Sometimes you sit back and just look back and say, what am I doing? Where am I going? Where am I turning to? What is my actual purpose? We ask ourselves more often, what is my intention of salah, than we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of my life? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Because once that answer is there, the rest are also very clear. Like that person who all they think about is making money, you don't have to ask them what their intention is for driving Uber. They want to make more money. They already have a job, but they want to have a side hustle. You don't have to ask them why. It's not like because they want to serve the community. They want to make more money. And the person who serves the community, who's driving something at nighttime, their intention is to serve the community. Similarly, when our intention becomes so dominated by, there's no other reason why I would be doing this other than the fact that I'm sincere. I would hope I'm sincere in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So that's one way to look at it, that your effort, you and I do not determine the result of our efforts. Allah determines it. If I believe that it's not a formula that needs to be seen in dunya. It's a formula that is proven to be found in the akhirah, and in the dunya Allah gives us previews and snippets of it. Right? If it was such that if I do A and B and equals C, I control everything in my life, then everyone would have, conceded to the qadr of Allah. That's not the way it is. If I wake up for tahajjud, make my dua multiple nights in a row, do istikhara, and then I still don't see my dua being accepted, that doesn't mean that my effort is going to waste. No. There is a manifestation of that reward in a manner that I perhaps don't notice right now. But it's taking place. There is no إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. There is no good deed that I commit to in my life that Allah does not notice. You know how our parents love us so much. They don't, even the smallest act of kindness is noticed by them. Because they love us so much. When people first get married, no. The brother said no. Okay, at least whoever it is. Anyone married here? Any brothers married? Oh, sisters married? Okay, well, I have one. Okay, I can use you as an example then. When did you marry?
2 years ago.
Oh, okay. That's a long time ago. 2 years is it's a long time. MashaAllah, Allah bless you and your family. But when a person gets married, they notice everything about their spouse. Oh, that looks so nice for you to do that. It's so cute the way you do that, the way you put the towel. After 3 years, or not 2 years, after a few years, that same act becomes really irritating. Why do you eat like that for? Why do you chew like that? In the beginning, it's so nice how you chew. Then it changes because in the beginning your love is so pure that everything is noticed. No one's love can be compared to Allah, but Allah notices every good deed of ours. Every good deed is noticed, and every good deed is rewarded. So I have a 6-month-old now. My first one is Abdul Rahim, second is the daughter Umayma. Like a mother loves the child so much that she'll notice every new thing the child is doing every day. Oh, today she started doing this. Again, that was the same thing she was doing yesterday. Her hand went up this way. No, now her hand is going this way. I'm like, the hand's moving. Alhamdulillah. But they notice everything because of how much love they have for their child. Allah loves us more than a mother loves her child. Every moment of pain in our heart, where we struggle to uphold the commandment of Allah, the greatest sense of fulfillment and the greatest sense of security is that we know that Allah knows about it. Allah knows about it. And Allah doesn't simply know about it and can't do anything about it. No, Allah knows about it and is rewarding us. Because ultimately He is the one that gives us reward. Ni'mat thawab. Like He's the only one that can give us a positive outcome and reward. So the effort is actually the effort is the jewel. The result is simply an add-on. It's like the whipping cream on top of the cake, right? It's not the purpose of it. The effort is the purpose. There's a great scholar that was once asked, Ibn Jawzi al-Hamdulillah narrates about him, that he was asked, like, how did you start enjoying prayer? He said, تعبت في الصلاة 20 سنة. I struggled in my prayer, hoping to find sincerity and find the sweetness of prayer for 20 years. And then I enjoyed prayer for another 20. I struggled for it for 20 years, and then I enjoyed it for the next 20 years. I mean, I struggled for it, right? I want to struggle for my dua for 3 nights, and I want to see the enjoyment of it the next 4th night. It's possible Allah will give it, but it's also possible that we keep striving, right? The struggle, this is my point for all of us, especially living in America. Don't worry about results. Don't worry about the how. Worry about the why. Focus on the why. The how is in the hands of Allah. How is Allah going to allow me to do this? I don't know how. Neither do you know how. Allah knows how. When we start focusing on the how, we actually limit the qadr of Allah in our life. Don't ask the question how so much. Just why. Why am I doing it for? Allah will, like Ibrahim a.s. did not ask, how is my son and my wife going to survive in Mecca? He simply knew why he was doing it. Allah took care of the rest. When the why is clear to us, i.e. the intention, when the why is clear, the how manifests in the most miraculous ways. Why am I putting my son in a basket and putting him inside of a river? Why? Musa's mother could have said, right? Well, how is he going to survive? Why am I doing it? Okay, it's the commandment of Allah, I'm going to do it. The how is in the hands of Allah. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla. Oh Allah, there's nothing easy in life except for that which you make easy. Nothing easy in life. Find sometimes the most simplest things become so difficult for us. Nothing easy except for that which Allah makes easy. Never take a blessing for granted. Today you have it, tomorrow you may lack within it. This is Allah's sign of His display of love for us. So effort is the jewel. The result is simply like the icing on the cake. It's icing. The effort is the jewel. Can I keep making effort for it? And if you love it, you will. And you will have difficult days. Like the Prophet ﷺ was asked, there's a beautiful hadith where Urwa ibn Zubayr asked Aisha radiallahu anha. Urwa ibn Zubayr was Aisha radiallahu anha's nephew. He was the son of Asma. Right? So one day he comes to his aunt, his khala, and he says, tell me, what was the most, beautiful, inspiring thing that you ever saw the Prophet doing? It's a very good question. What was the best thing you ever saw him doing? Like his best experience that you want to share with us? She says, أَوَ كُلُّهُ عُجَبٌ. Was not his entire life something beautiful? Like, how do you want me to pick? Every aspect of his life was inspiring. She says, but what's one thing that really stuck with you? She says, one day the Prophet came home and it was nighttime, we went to bed, and he was laying next to me and he was so close to me, حَتَّى مَسَّ جِلْدِي جِلْدَهُ, to the point that my skin was touching his skin. That's how close we were in proximity. Like we go to Medina, may Allah take us back again and again, inshallah. Being there, like you're close to the Prophet, is such an overwhelming sense of just sakina, comfort. Imagine being with the Prophet, like physically next to him, and he's your husband, who loves you more than anything else. And when he was asked, who do you love the most? He said, Aisha. Right? So he's laying, and then the Prophet kind of turns towards her and says, my beloved wife, would it be okay? Would it be okay if I asked you just go to the corner and pray a few rak'at of tahajjud quickly and then come back? And she's narrating the hadith, and she said, I told the Prophet, I'll be lying if I said I want you to leave. I'll be lying. Like, I want you to be close. وَلَكِنْ أُحِبُّ رِضَاءَكَ. However, I prefer whatever you prefer. And because you prefer going to pray, go pray. Right? So the Prophet gets up and he starts praying. And he continues praying. There's 2 rak'ah. And in that narration it says that he continued praying until his feet became swollen. And his qiyam was as long as a baqarah, surah baqarah, then his ruku was as long as his qiyam, then his ruku, his sajda was as long as his ruku. It was a very lengthy prayer. And he said he finished when Bilal came to knock on the door to tell him that's the time for Fajr. So he prayed all night and he was crying all night. So the Prophet says to Aisha says to him, Ya Rasulullah, like, أَفَلَا يَغْفِرُ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. Has Allah not forgiven all of your sins? Like, why are you struggling so much? In our language we say, I love the grind. We love the grind. So the Prophet says, well, أَفَلَا أَكُونَ عَبْدًا شُكُورًا. Should I not be someone who can be grateful to Allah? I love making Allah happy. I love making Allah happy. This is our way of understanding that effort is the goal, it's the jewel. The results are simply the icing on top of the cake. Whether or not we see it, we continue making the effort, which is the greatest sign of sincerity. Any other questions, Sister Said? No, Sister.
I have a question, maybe I can clarify after. So I'm wondering about how do you protect your sincerity in the moments you do deeds in public? And I'm thinking about the one who strives to do good deeds with ihsan, with a lot of excellence, but you're in spaces, and sometimes in Muslim spaces that shame or ridicule just how sincere you are in some of your acts.
So I feel like it's a two-sided question. Like one side is how do you remain sincere in public? The other side is how do you remain sincere within Muslims who kind of like ridicule you because of how sincere you are?
How do you protect your sincerity?
Like how do you pray? So I mean, like I might give you a very like, unorthodox answer, and this is me. I think people like all of us, including myself, the way we should think about it is protect. And I don't want to trivialize our good deeds, but I really mean this. People ask me all the time, like you guys, like speakers or people are always on the stage, you're always in front of people. How do you remain sincere? And the answer that one of our teachers gave us, what I'll share with you. He said, well, you have to worry about your sincerity when you think you're doing something very special. Like when you're like, yo, I'm killing it. Like I'm just like, I'm at another level. We know how flawed we are. We know how flawed we are, but only Allah knows. We know how many mistakes we have within us. So when we do something in the public and Allah hides our flaws and sins, it's extremely easy to be sincere because we know that it's not coming from us. It's coming from Allah. It's not. If it was coming from me, then maybe I should be insincere. But I know that my 1 + 1 did not equal 2 because I shouldn't be doing this right now. Like this is not me, this is who? Allah, biyadika al-khair. So one way to just kind of like put a lid on our sincerity is to even recognize that what I'm doing is only because of Allah giving me the ability, or else I'm not doing anything special. It's Allah giving it to me. Number 2, and again, it might sound very different, but it's good to recognize what we're doing. Sometimes a person, and I'm not saying anything is negative, but sometimes you go ahead and pray like Dhuhr Salat and like, yo man, I want to make sure I'm sincere. Habibi, you prayed a Fard Salat. There's nothing to remove your sincerity. Like you have to do it. When you recognize this is what I have to do, like it's not something it's not extra. I have to do it. Like I volunteered for one event, great. Like what? Why am I concerned about my sincerity? I volunteered for one event. Sahaba gave their life for deen. Like put it into perspective and you realize like, okay, you know what? It makes sense. I don't gotta worry about my sincerity yet. I have strides to take to even start feeling the challenge of, I'm doing something really like it's different at another level. And I'm not saying that we downplay our good deeds, but I am saying is the good deeds that we are doing are special, they're unique, they're powerful, but we know that they're not an extension of ourselves, it's from Allah. So how can we prop our shoulders wide and our chest broad if we know that it's not from us, from Allah? Number 1. Number 2. Number 3, like how to remain sincere when people are like almost ridiculing you and like questioning your sincerity, right? Who cares? Honestly, who cares? That's a sign that you're sincere for Allah. That is sometimes our test is private, being in private. Sometimes our test is being in front of non-Muslims. Sometimes our test is being in front of Muslims. I know people whose test is being in front of their family. Everyone has a different test that challenges their sincerity. That's why I said earlier, sincerity is not about doing things in private or public. It's about remaining consistent despite where you are and despite who's in front of you. Allah alone or people with you. Right? It doesn't change because it's just the reality of what Allah has given you and what Allah has made you liable for. So really, like, people who are passionate about doing something, there comes a point that they don't even care what other people say about it. Like, yo, you're so imbalanced and making money, it's too bad, it's who I am. And they're stubborn upon it. So we're allowed to be stubborn upon deen. Like, oh, something's wrong with you. You can't be sincere. Like, well, I guess you have your way, I have my way. I'm not going to stop growing within my deen because people are not happy with my growth or they can't keep up. They got to keep up. We got to keep up with each other, and hence, this is a race together. It's not a race alone. But definitely, people that are in the public sphere, if you're like volunteering a lot, you're doing events a lot, or you're leading salat, or you're hafid, or whatever it is that you're doing, know that being sincere in your deed is a default. Becoming insincere means that you're doing something which is like, and I'm saying about myself, I'm doing something which is like unbelievably like unique. I'm lucky that I'm doing it. I know for sure if we were born in the prior centuries, we would be on the bench, like holding the water bottles for the sheikh of that time, like bench warmers. When am I gonna get a chance to just jump in for a few minutes? Allah brought us here at the right time because, like, this is what He's using us this time. Like, those people did so much, right? They gave their whole life. If we were there at that time, that sacrifice would possibly not be. We would not be able to uphold it. There was a tabi'i that told Miqdad ibn Aswad, who was one of the great Muhajir Sahaba. He said to him, I wish I was alive at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. I would have served him better than all of you. The tabi'i talking, sometimes people talk big, like, yeah, if I was there, I would have done this. Like, oh, you weren't there though. Well, there's a reason. If I was there, oh my God, that guy's lucky I wasn't there. Yeah. We're happy you weren't there. Thank you. But this guy's like getting excited. Yeah, طُوبَى لِهَاتَيْنِ الْعَيْنَيْنِ اللَّتَيْنِ رَأَتَ النَّبِيَّ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Oh my God, your eyes are so blessed. They were able to see the Prophet. Your hands are so blessed. They were able to touch the Prophet. If we were alive, we would not have allowed the Prophet to walk. We would have carried him. This is what he said. Miqdad says, you done? You done? He said, yeah, I'm done. It's like, if you were alive, I'm not sure if you would have been on the side of the munafiqs or the believers. I don't know. And then he answers, because it was really, really hard. It was really hard to stand in battle, and across the line, you're fighting your own brother. It was hard. And he says, we would have to stand in Badr, and we're being asked to kill our own fathers. It's not easy. Right? So Allah brought us at the perfect time. We're making our effort. Yes, we should feel good about ourselves. We shouldn't think that we're not doing anything. But we should also know, in the grand scheme of things, there's so much more to do that we don't have time to think about, like posturing up for people. Like, we don't have time for that. There's so much work to do still. It's like a person who makes his first three-pointer in the NBA and he's already throwing out signs. Like, it's like, bro, you hit 1-3. You're like 1 for 9 in the game. Like, why are you making out signs? Like us, right? Like, that's us. We go do one thing for the sake of Allah, like, alhamdulillah, man, like, I can't wait for my lifetime achievement award. Bro, you had one event. You served your parents for 3 days in the weekend. You have the rest of your life to serve them. I'm just being honest. This is a way to remain sincere. Not to downplay, this is what I do, by the way. My teacher taught me this. Not to downplay your good, but to just make it a reality of just being real with it. What is it that I'm doing that I feel so proud of that makes me insincere? Or makes me arrogant? It's not that much. Right? Like, I did a lot, but okay, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. There's still so much more to be done. This is how people live with the mentality of wealth in their mind, right? Like, I made a lot, I gotta make more now. Right? They don't stop because they understand how much more can be made. The same way for us, we live with that mindset towards the akhirah. Hopefully that answers a part of your question. I hope. Now, still.
How do you stay sincere with Allah when you're emotionally drained, especially when you feel unseen, misunderstood, or hurt by people?
That's a tough question. How do you remain sincere to Allah when you feel misunderstood, hurt, unseen by people? I mean, I would say for ourselves, this is something that even the Sahabas felt. And the Prophet highlighted them where he said, رُبَّ أَشْعَثَ أَخْبَرَ. There are many people who have patched up clothes. No one recognizes them. When they speak, no one listens. When they intercede, their intercession is never accepted. But these are such people, لَوْ أَنَّ أَحَدَهُمْ, if any one of them were to raise their hands in front of Allah, Allah would accept their dua. So the first thing we understand is the mistake that we've made is that we expect that we need to be seen by people. We don't need to be seen by people. We need to be seen by Allah. The goal is not to be seen by people, the goal is to be seen by the unseen. Not to be seen by people. That's easy, that's not hard. The goal is to be seen by the unseen. Right? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wal basir, wal raqib. Right? Like if I wanted to, my goal was to be noticed by people, then remember that there will always be a lack of fulfillment, because there will be someone who still does not notice me, still hasn't heard me. Hence, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. We speak to Allah. We make that the pursuit. And never do we turn to Allah except that He also hears us and He responds to us. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ. You remember me, I remember you. Right? And I understand naturally though, if people around us are not like responding to us the way that we would have hoped. Remember, that was also the case with the Prophet ﷺ. When he would speak in Mecca, people would put cotton balls in their ears to ignore him and to turn away from him. Right? We're not the first people that would have to deal with it. At the same time, we don't mask our emotions and act as if that's not a reality. Act as if that is not a reality that can harm us. So we definitely seek help from Allah, and we speak to people who are close enough to us that can give us a level of support and resolve. Right? We're called insan because it comes from the root letters of uns. Uns in Arabic means to seek compassion in companionship. This is the root letter of insan. The most basic need of a human being is to love and to be loved. Basic need. And that comes with companionship. And if you strip a person away from that, they literally lose insaniya. They become unhuman. Right? This is why the harshest punishment is like solitary confinement, because you pull a person away from their natural default state and need of life. So if we are people who remove ourselves from others, then we will lack in certain areas. So we need to make sure that as people that are close to us, that we ask for support, we speak to each other, we hear someone else, and hopefully someone also hears us. But our hope is not that people see us. Our hope is that Allah sees us. Right? Our hope is not that people hear us. Our hope is that Allah hears us. Allah can, Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he built the Kaaba, Allah said to him, أَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ. Make the announcement and the adhan for Hajj. He said, Allah, there's no one here. Literally, there's no one in Mecca, right? What do you mean like someone saying, call the adhan and the masjid is empty. What do you mean, bro? There's no one here. But you still call the adhan because the sunnah of Ibrahim. You still call the adhan. So he called the adhan. So he calls everyone. Allah says, your job is to call the adhan. My job is to make sure it's heard. So Allah took the miracles of His creation and carried the voice to every corner of the world. To the point that even animals started coming to Makkah. Right? So Allah's job is to make sure that we are heard by the people. And whatever needs that we have, we present them to Allah. Dua is not simply asking Allah. Dua is being vulnerable in front of Allah. Being vulnerable in front of people may be difficult because we're so flawed that we judge each other. Being vulnerable in front of Allah is so easy because we know Allah never judges you. And on top of that, you also know, and I also know, that Allah already knows what I'm being vulnerable about. So me saying it, it's just my way of getting through it. The Prophet ﷺ would speak to Allah. There's a surah in the Quran called Surah Nuh. Surah Nuh. The entire surah is Nuh alayhi salam complaining to Allah. He's being vulnerable. Like, Ya Allah, man, I don't know if I can do this any longer. You asked me to call people towards Allah. No one's become a Muslim. I've been doing this for 950 years. No one wants to accept Islam. Right? So he's simply just talking to Allah. It's called munajat billah. Ibn Qayyim says that the best way to mend a broken heart is to find enjoyment in speaking to Allah. Munajat. Just speaking. And then you start enjoying it. Like you get lost in it. And when you get lost in something good, when a person tells himself that I'm only going to watch YouTube videos for like 10 minutes, and they continue, an hour later they're still watching it, that's a sign that they really enjoyed it. Or else it would have stopped earlier, right? A sign that we really enjoy speaking to Allah is we tell ourselves, I have 5 minutes before I go to sleep, I'll speak to Allah. But 15 minutes pass by and you're still crying and talking to Allah. That means you enjoy it now. Like there's no time restriction. You enjoy it. This is why we're taught that at the end of the night we do something called muhasabah and muraqabah, where we speak to Allah, reflect upon our day. And every person, in the Sahaba, there's 120,000 Sahaba. And I'll end with this. 120,000 Sahaba, correct? Give or take. How many names are documented in the books of in the books where they document the names of Sahaba? Anyone have a wild guess? How many names are actually not known to you and I? Known. They're documented. Not known to you and I. We probably know 10 or 20 or 50 or 100, but how many are documented? What would you say?
5.
Not bad. Good. Anyone else? About between give or take 10 to 14,000. Let's say 10,000. Let's say even 12. Let's say even 20,000. 20,000. Like 20,000 out of 120,000. Like, where's everyone else's names? They weren't looking to get their names known, even though they were the best people. Their name not being known doesn't mean that they weren't good people, because they were Sahaba. They were the best people. But they understood that their name being known did not change anything. They didn't change anything. Because whether or not their name was known to people was not what determined their acceptance in the eyes of Allah. So 10,000 out of 120,000 is a very small percentage. Right? So if people don't recognize us, don't know us, it's fine. But if that's, by the way, I'll end with this. If that's what you want, and if that's what you ask for, Allah will give it to you. Allah will give it to you. Like literally the du'as that we make, as long as they're pure and sincere, Allah will give it to you. Allah, I want, like if someone says, Allah, make me rich. Is that a bad dua? It's a great dua. Allah, make me rich so I can give in your path. Right? Allah, allow me, you said I mean pretty loud there. Right? But allow me to be heard by people. Allow me to be noticed by my parents or people who are older in my family, or to recognize my friend. It's a good dua. Don't avoid asking for it because only Allah matters. No, only Allah matters, so you can ask Him for it. Allah will give it to us. And that's our hope, inshallah ta'ala. Nah, go ahead.
So I'm a little bit confused between being intentional and being sincere. And the one hadith that comes to mind is Prophet Muhammad says, you know what Allah will be right. So like, would you share how your intention with the sincerity come with it? Like, how does it work?
100%. The rule generally is that you always ask yourself the why before we do the deed, during the deed and at the end of the deed. You always ask yourself the why. Again, okay, before you start salah, the rule is to always say, who am I praying for? I'm praying salatul dhuhr for the sake of Allah. During the act, you also think about it again, and after you also reflect upon it again. So that's something that we always do for every act. We should never avoid doing it because we think that our sincerity is a given. Right? We should always recheck our intention, especially when there's a transition in our life. Especially transitions, because transitions tend to change the way we do things, and they also tend to change our intentions. Like when you're making a transition from one point of your life to the next point of your life, so you should always, ask yourself. And amal bin niyat means that your deeds are rewarded based upon the purity of your intention, right? And if you keep doing the deed and Allah allows you to do it, you know that it's pure. That was my point. The fact that Allah allows you to continue doing it is a sign that it's also pure. That makes sense. Now we're good, inshallah. We're good, Habibi? Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you all, bless you all. I've been to Mass Brooklyn before, where Sheikh Muhammad Badawi is. Before that was my best Mass location. Now this is my best Mass location, inshallah. Allah bless you all. By the way, when I go there, I'm going to say the same thing, right? So, Allah reward you, Allah bless you all. It's beautiful being here, inshallah. We'll see you all tomorrow night, inshallah, for the event with Khabib, inshallah. If you're not coming, start doing istighfar from now, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.